particular report was compiled by a group investigating ghost stories at the fortress which has guarded England's shores longer than any other, from the Iron Age to the Second World War. High above the famous White Cliffs on the south coast, Dover Castle is the kind of place you might expect to attract ghost stories. Staff there take them with a pinch of salt, but more recent events have made them take their unearthly guests much more seriously. Nicknamed Hellfire Corner, damp and eerie. There are 3.5 miles of these tunnels carved through the cliffs during World War II. Gloomy or not, today they are the favourite tourist attraction in this busy ferry port. Leslie Simpson has guided thousands of people on their plunge into history, but there's one tour he'll never forget.
I had a group of about 20 people.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll just follow me through now, please.
We came into the repeater station. I brought the group up to the barrier. I stand on a step where I can overlook the group.
You're now in the Defence Telecommunications Network Station, DTN. We call this the repeater station.
Information.
All lines entering the headquarters came through a narrow well shaft, 150 feet below this room.
I had to notice the lady, she was very intent, and she suddenly looked very alarmed, and she fell down and slipped down onto her knee.
I'm okay, I'm fine.
But the lady wasn't really fine, as Leslie found out at the end of the tour.
Thanks very much. Glad you enjoyed the tour. Goodbye. Right. Goodbye. Thanks for coming. Are you okay now? You didn't hurt yourself in there, did you?
No, I'm fine. But, well, this is going to sound very strange, but I think I ought to tell you what happened down there.
Behind that, on the level above...
She explained that she'd been watching a man. She had a uniform on, a naval uniform, down at the far end of the repeater station. And she thought he belonged here, part of the tour, tinkering with the equipment.
It was essential that this equipment worked...
She got alarmed because he started to walk towards the group. He was walking quite fast. He came down the second small flight of steps, and he just walked straight through the barrier. And right through her.
This sighting is only one of many in a complex which spans 3 eras: the Hellfire Corner tunnels, the old gun rooms built to fight off Napoleon's threatened invasion, and the ancient castle where William the Conqueror once stayed. All have reports of inexplicable goings-on.
Well, I've lost count of the number of times that visitors and my staff have told me of strange noises and mysterious figures they've seen. 2 Americans that were visiting the underground works, and after they left, they mentioned to the guides of the appropriate sound effects that we had down there. But there were no sound effects in the underground works.
Could these be the sounds the American couple heard? Sounds of the Second World War, when Hellfire Corner was the communications centre monitoring the threat of enemy attack in the Channel. Bomb-proof and impregnable, the evacuation of Dunkirk was planned here. Hundreds of people lived and worked inside the cliff base. The tunnels were sealed for half a century before being opened up as a museum. Even now, visitors are allowed round only with supervision. Some would say for good reason.
I had a tour group of about 25 to 30 people, and the tour had been going well until we reached the repeater station. I noticed a father and daughter standing slightly away from the rest of the group.
150 feet below this room, connecting with the main distribution frame behind the desks.
The girl appeared to be in communication with somebody who appeared invisible to me, and her father was looking on interestedly. And then all of a sudden the father disappeared out of the repeater station.
This equipment worked at all times. At the very rear of the tunnel is the...
Can you stay with the rest of the group, please?
Where 24 GPO engineers...
Yes, of course. Sorry.
Standby.
Karen tried to forget the incident and carried on with her tour.
Just before
we move into the next room, ladies and gentlemen, a piece of light-hearted information for you. This room is supposed to be the most haunted room in Hellfire Corner.
Yes, I know, and I've just seen the ghost.
At that point, I thought we got a bit of a one here and dismissed what he said.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to follow me.
He was very casual about the whole thing, but the girl was very withdrawn and shaken. She looked in shock, in fact.
Karen realised something very unusual had happened, so she took down the details.
He said his name was Bill Billings, and he said he was killed when he was assembling an amplifier rack or something.
I thought that they had definitely seen someone down here.
Despite such testimonies, some of the castle staff are quite sure that the reason for it all is a perfectly natural one. After 8 years of taking groups around the castle, Philip Wyburn Brown thinks he knows what's behind the apparently abnormal activities.
The building is 800 years old. It's built high on the cliff. It is subject to a lot of wind and air currents up here. So I think a lot of it is very much the natural phenomena of the building itself.